All right, welcome to this video on planning your best year ever. It is a step-by-step business plan guide. If you do not have the workbook, just email me at grant.zabilski@mottomortgage.com and I will email you over a workbook that you can print, and then you can follow along and get your own personal income goal numbers in there and all the actions that we're about to do. So, planning for the best year ever. Here's what we're going to cover today. Number one, do you need a business plan? Why would you need a business plan? Number two, what are your income goals? Number three, knowing your why. Why are you actually doing this, and what's going to spark that consistent movement in doing your business? Number four, knowing your numbers. You got to know exactly how many of what actions you have to do to reach your income goals. Number five, lead generation. How are you going to generate those leads coming in and actually have some conversions happening? Number six, tools and resources to get those things done. And then number seven, the next steps. So you've heard it said that most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. You got to think of your real estate business plan as a GPS. If you have a smartphone, how do you get to somewhere where you've never been before? Well, you go to Google Maps or any of that, you plug in that destination and it shows you a map of how to get there. That's exactly what your business plan is. It is your GPS for reaching your income goals with your business. And instead of getting lost and asking for directions, you're simply going to reference your plan and adjust as needed for the current market and then forge ahead. The problem with most business plans is they're too complicated. Okay? We don't need fancy vision statements or to declare our values. We want something simple that is not too head heavy. It's just a plan, a step-by-step guide, making it really easy that you can just glance at it and know exactly what you've got to do for the day, for the week, for the month, and for the year. So, things change quickly in the world today, and a business plan should be a living document that adjusts with the market, adjusts with trends, and with technology. So we just need a simple plan with specific action steps that we can track, measure, and adjust along the way. Make sense? So we need to answer the big three questions. What do you want? And what's your why? What do you want? Why are you going after this? Number two, how to get it. What is the plan? How are these actions going to come together to actually create something? And then third, where to improve. And you got to get real with yourself there. So what do you want? Let's start at the top. What do you want? Is it, you want money to take care of a kid's education? Do you want money for whatever it is? This is where you're starting out. And let's look at the revenue on how to get there. So if you're following along with the workbook, just look at this box here that says revenue. So this is the gross commission income, your GCI. This is how much you're going to make in the grand scheme of things before expenses. So let's start with how much money you want to make. So grab your business plan, your outlet, your template, and let's quickly fill in your numbers. So what's your income goal? For me, just to make this entire thing simple for math, I'll use the example of $100,000. Now let's get specific on where that income is going to come from. Okay, so for this easy example, we're using $100,000 for our GCI, for our income. And I'm going to say that 50% of my income comes from sellers and 50% comes from the buyers. So in this example, if I have 50% coming from the sellers, and let's say I make 3% commission on every one of those deals with an average price purchase price of $250,000, that is $7,500 in commission. Now, if I take that $50,000, which is the sellers, that's what I'm going to make from sellers. Take that $50,000 and divide that by $7,500. I know that 7 listings is what it's going to take in order to reach that $50,000, which is half of that yearly income goal. And so how many listings does it take to get that 7? You know, sometimes something happens and things fall through. Maybe it's going to take 9. But let's say for this example, it's just easy. Every one of those goes through and you get 7. Now, the number that is still missing is how many appointments does it take in order to get 7 listings. So we'll come back to that. We'll loop back around, but that's the missing number right now, right? So moving on to buyers, it's going to be the same thing, same numbers, right? Using the same numbers, the math is obvious. That's why we did it this way. So you need an equal amount of buyers as clients to get the other $50,000, right? So to reach your goal, your total goal of $100,000, it's again 3% of $250,000 house is an average commission of $7,500, and you divide that by the $50,000. Again, 7 buying transactions is what it's going to take to get that $50,000. So you add those together, $50,000 for the buyers, $50,000 for the sellers, and now we have our $100,000 goal. And again, how many appointments is that going to take? We don't know. Question: do we keep 100% of our income? No. Where does it go? Right? Expenses, taxes, yes. All these things take that money away. So we have gross commission, GCI, and then we have expenses. So what's left over after expenses? Profit, right? Hopefully, right? And we want to be good stewards with our money, so we should also be saving money, if you see in that box right here, and then reducing debt as well, right? So if we have any debt, we want to be putting money towards that. We want to be putting money towards savings. So we are ending out in a great financial place at the end of this year. So this section is homework for you. We're not going to go through it. We'll review the expense tracker in a moment, but first let's get back to knowing our numbers. Okay, so conversions goal. Remember, our total buyer to seller transactions needed to make $100,000 is, yes, 14, right? 7 from the sellers, 7 from the buyers. So the national average, so NAR says that the national average for converting a lead to a sale is approximately 1 to 2%, or 1 out of 40. So that means it takes 40 conversations, that's business directed conversations, to get 1 transaction, according to NAR. That's the average. You might be a little better, it might only take you 30, or you might be a little newer and it might take 50, you know? But so right now we're gonna go with the NAR average, 40 conversations to get a transaction. So if we need a total of 14 transactions, we multiply 14 by 40, and we get 560. Yes, it's the actual number of conversations we need to get 14 transactions. Make sense? So throughout the year, you're going to have 560 business-directed conversations to end up with those 14 transactions by the end of the year. So let's break it down even further. Let's give you some vacation. Okay, let's assume that you only work 48 weeks out of the 52 weeks in the year. So you get a whole month off, right? 4 weeks off. And you don't work 7 days a week, right? You work 5. So that's 20 working days per month over 11 months. Remember, 1 month's vacation. So all that adds up to, you need about 11 business conversations per week, or an average of 2.5 business-focused conversations per day. And to even break that down further, look at the hour of power. That hour of power, it's got people I know on one side and people I don't know on the other. So you're just taking that daily quota and you're dividing that in half. So it's important to know your numbers because there's two ways to increase your income as an agent. One is talk to more people. So that 560 number is going to be higher, or you convert more people to clients. Those are the only two ways. Talk to more people or convert more. Okay, so we know what our income goals are. Is that enough? No. Well, the real question is why. Just like Les Brown says, when your why is big enough, you'll find your how. Why do you want to earn that? You know, if you're going for $100,000 this year, why? What is your why? If you have a strong enough why, you'll figure out the how. So you'll break down walls, you'll crawl over broken glass if your why is strong enough. Who's counting on you to achieve your goals? Okay, all things to think about while you're going through this business plan. Now let's take a moment and get some clarity on this why. Okay, here's part of the workbook where you get to really put in items that might be really important to you. Grab your outline and take a moment and let's just let your first impulse be what you put next to the dots, okay? So here's an example. What would making $100,000 do for you? What would it do for others? Who's counting on you to follow through? And what would happen if you didn't earn your income goals? Who else would be affected? How would that make you feel? And we really want to stay and linger in that pain of if I fail. It's a very important box. If you listen to Tony Robbins talk about pain, studies show that we will do more as humans to avoid pain than we will to gain pleasure. So really focus on what will happen if I don't achieve this. If I fail, what's going to happen? Okay, so we know our numbers, we've got our why. What's next once we know what and why? The plan. How, right? Past performance can be an indicator of future performance. So to determine where your business will come from in the next year, it makes sense to look at where your business came from last year. You know, we may see some patterns or opportunities. Make sense? So this works if you've been in the business for a year or more. But if you are a newbie and you're just starting to find these numbers, you'll be able to start tracking your numbers so that next time you'll know a little better. So what percentage of your business came from sphere of influence? You know, NAR says most of your business, or the typical realtor, their business comes from sphere of influence or center of influence. So this includes past clients, referrals, people you know and who know you. And here's some interesting stats from NAR on sphere of influence, okay? 52% of buyers use an agent based on a referral from a friend, neighbor, or relative. 12% of buyers use an agent that they worked with before. 64% of sellers use an agent from a referral or use an agent that they worked with before to buy or sell. 8% of home sales were FSBOs, for sale by owner. So it's a small, 8%, not a lot, but definitely a good niche if you want to go for it really hard. 8%, not a lot of other agents trying to compete for that, right? 74% of buyers only interviewed one real estate agent during their home search. And 72% of sellers only contacted one agent. So where's your business going to come from? How much of it is sphere of influence? And we've included a blank template in your outline so you can write down where your business came from last year. And again, if you're brand new, you can use this to start tracking now. So as you look at your main sources of business, let's next look at what areas of our business do we need to improve. So if you're like me, you probably have some opportunities for improvement, right? This is where we really want to get real with ourselves. What are we good at, and what do we really need to work on? Let's look again at the main sources of business, okay? So these 5 are the typical places where business is going to come from. We have your past clients, which is your sphere of influence. Your expireds or FSBOs, like I said, it was 8% was FSBOs, but if you want to really target that, not a whole bunch of competition there. We have open houses generating some leads. We have the signs on the outside of houses. There's online. And we do have another class on how to find more sellers. If anybody's interested in that, you can again email me and let us know if you want to figure out how to find more sellers even in a down market. So let's get back to our outline and take a moment now to do a quick self-assessment on the areas you want to improve. So let's get real, people, okay? Rank yourself in each of these areas and rank yourself honestly. So what you're going to do is you're just going to shade in the level at which you think you are in each of these 6 areas. How would you rank yourself in lead generation? Excellent or poor? How about lead conversion? Do you take time for yourself to stay healthy? So this is really just for your own personal awareness, to provide some focus, or to just get you started. So many agents tell us they could do a better job of lead generation and conversion. So let's get 3 important things about leads. One is to get clear on the lead sources. So where will you get leads from? Here in these examples, we have from, banks, from geographical farming, from a distribution list, from online leads, okay? And then number 2, look right below that at lead generation, okay? How are you generating that relationship? For that, you might get some generation from some television ads or from bulk email, maybe from content marketing that you do, putting out value for people, and then you generate a lead out of that. Or maybe your website has a lead capture app in it, and it captures their email, and you just generated that lead from your content on your blog. And then third, we have lead conversion. So your process of converting that 1 out of 40 conversations to a transaction. So are you doing that by text messaging? Are you doing that by email, by phone call, by voice message? If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. Yogi Berra said that. So if you look at this list, we have everything filled in. This is just an idea of a way to fill this out. But you see how they got really clear on what is online presence. What do you do for that? You getting clear with all your social media handles and combining them and giving out value through social media so that you have a strong brand online. Are you creating content? How about a single property website? Do you use single property websites? And if you don't, or if you do, just know Motto Mortgage HPLB, we can set up a single property website for each of your listings at any time. It'll take us 30 seconds to do, honestly. But it'll pull all the information straight off the MLS, and it is beautiful. So if you ever want a single property website, contact me, grant.zabilski@mottomortgage.com, and I will help you set up your profile so that we can always send you a single property website each time we get notified of your new listing. So this whole sheet is an example you can look over yourself so that you know how to fill this out yourself and get really clear on what to do next. We've got a couple of resources included in your outline to help you gain clarity. So first step is to identify the target audience. You might have more than one of that. And FTHB is a target audience. Luxury home buyers is another target audience. It's a very different target audience. In this exercise, our goal is to get clear on the activities and plan for generating leads from a specific target audience. So what will you do to reach them? Engage. And what's your plan for nurturing and converting? This helps you get clear on that. Because either you run the day or the day runs you. And here's an example of the plan mapped out for you. So here's us putting in examples for you. Target audience is a geographical farm. That's a specific community of homes and homeowners. And here's some lead gen activities. You might see open houses, Facebook ads, community events, and door knocking, for example. Okay, does this make sense? So you see how the actual activities are written and mapped out? But is that enough? Nope, of course not, right? You have to schedule your activities. Top producers live by saying if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. So who here does time blocking? Anyone? So this is more of a macro view of your activities over a 12-month period with a start and end date. Make sense? So you could really do this over the 12 months. This right here, this is showing just 1 month. So if you're going to take all of January, can really map out, hey, this is what's going to get done all through January. And you see those dates. Say you started on December 26th to have a January 1st go at it. And then each week it maps out the important things that need to be done in order to reach your goals. And COI, just so you see, that's sphere of influence, that's center of influence in this example. COI. Same as sphere of influence. So next step is to schedule your ideal weekly activity plan. And this is your week at a glance. So create time blocks for the high priority tasks. And that's time for both business and family. You really want to schedule everything that's a priority. So when you went over that circle of, hey, what am I doing well at? If health, you weren't doing that well in it, make sure that's time blocked in here because it's important to keep the balance of your life going so you don't burn yourself out and so you finish that 12 months strong. And then you have your daily schedule planner where you get more specific with your daily actions and time blocks to complete them. So now you have structure and focus to your day. Make sense? Again, there are just some examples, so apply to your specific calendar planning tool or app. You can use this as a structure, or I'm sure lots of you have apps on your phone now where you can time block just like this and map out your daily plan for achieving these actions. Okay, remember we talked about gross commission minus what equals profit? Yeah, expenses, right? So this is your homework. Take time over the next week to write down all your expenses, business and personal. It's not what you make, it's what you keep, right? So get your expenses under control and you'll have more profit to grow your business. Same with personal expenses, because like Warren Buffett says, rule number 1, never lose money. And rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1, right? So did you get any good ideas from this today? We hope we can share as much value as possible to help you grow your business. Motto Mortgage HPLB, we don't do well unless our realtors do well. So we really want to be able to provide you guys everything that you need to grow your business in the best way. That's why we offer classes on not only this, not only your business plan, but also how to handle your social media and create more leads and down markets and everything that you need as a realtor. So if you have any questions on this presentation or anything else, again, you can email me at grant.zabilski@mottomortgage.com, and I or another loan originator within our company will get back to you and answer any other questions that you might have. And your feedback is important to us. Feel free to write in the comments below, or you can email me with any of your feedback. I'd appreciate that as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video.